What truly causes us to suffer in life? According to Buddhist teachings, the answer lies in our attachment to the illusion of self. This script explores what self is and how suffering arises from being trapped in this self. By understanding the essence of self as taught by Buddhism, we may discover genuine freedom and liberation. The beginning of the story. Once there was a young man who, from a young age, harbored the question, "Who am I?" While the people around him seemed to understand who they were and what they should do, he always felt an emptiness inside. No matter how joyful his days were, this question lingered in his mind, casting a shadow over his life. One day, he resolved to embark on a journey of self-discovery. He believed that through travel, he could gain an understanding of himself and find an answer to his question. Along the way, he met many people, but nowhere did he find a satisfying answer to his question. Encounter with Buddha. Eventually, he arrived at a village deep within a forest. There, he heard of a great Buddha living in the area. Hoping to find an answer, he journeyed to this village. At the entrance of the village, he saw a calm path, and in the distance, he could see Buddha sitting. He sensed that Buddha might hold the answer and approached cautiously. Buddha asked him gently, "What have you come here seeking?" The young man replied, "I want to know who I am. I've been on a long journey, but I still can't find an answer." Buddha nodded quietly and said, "What is self? This is a question that leads many to wander and suffer. But don't rush, let us together consider whether this self you seek truly exists." The body and self. Buddha then asked the young man to consider his body. "Do you think this body is yourself?" The young man thought deeply before responding, "Yes, I use this body to live my life, so it feels like it is me." But Buddha gently responded, "This body grows, ages, and eventually perishes. You cannot control it fully. To regard this body as self may be misguided." The young man felt a stirring in his mind as he began to realize that his body, ever-changing, might not be something permanent or him. The mind and self. Next, Buddha questioned him about his mind and thoughts. "Then, is the mind or your thoughts self?" The young man pondered and replied, "I feel my thoughts and emotions are a part of me. However, when I meditate, random thoughts and anxieties arise on their own. It doesn't seem as though I asked for them." Buddha nodded with a gentle smile. The mind and thoughts, too, are like the body, they're beyond control and always changing. One day you feel joy, and the next, sorrow. Feelings and thoughts are always shifting and hard to call self. The young man agreed deeply, realizing that emotions and thoughts, like the body, are constantly in flux. The teaching of the Five Aggregates. Buddha then introduced the concept of the Five Aggregates. These are 5 elements that give rise to the sense of self. They are form, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Form refers to the physical body, which is always changing. Sensation refers to feelings generated by external stimuli, which are also fleeting. Perception is the process of thought and awareness, which constantly changes. Mental formations refer to the intentions and actions we take, which also shift. And consciousness refers to our awareness of the world, which changes according to conditions. These 5 aggregates create the illusion of self, yet none of them are permanent. The young man listened intently, and he began to understand that self was merely a collection of these temporary phenomena. Until now, he had thought of himself as something fixed, but he now felt he had been mistaken. The river analogy. Buddha continued with an analogy of a river. "You've seen a river, haven't you? A river seems to keep a steady shape, but the water is always flowing and changing. Yet, people still perceive it as the same river. Your body and mind are the same, they are constantly changing, just like the flow of a river. the sense of a self arises from this ever-flowing stream, yet it too is part of the flow. The young man pondered these words. He had thought of himself as a single, solid entity, but now he realized that he was part of an ever-changing flow, not something fixed. Sorrow and attachment. One night, while meditating, memories of his childhood surfaced, and he felt a deep sadness as he recalled his mother. The loss of his mother overwhelmed him, and he returned to Buddha to share his pain. Buddha said gently, "Your sorrow is natural. It stems from the deep love you had for your mother. But remember, love too is merely one of the aggregates." Tears welled up in the young man's eyes. "Then, does that mean this sorrow is also impermanent, and not truly me?" Buddha nodded kindly. Sorrow only turns into suffering through attachment. Simply observe it. By understanding the root of this feeling, you will find that it will eventually release on its own. Letting go of sorrow. The young man practiced Buddha's teaching by simply observing his emotions. As he watched his sorrow over his mother, he began to realize that the feeling was temporary and that he did not need to hold on to it. Gradually, he felt that the sadness existed without controlling him, simply as it was. In conclusion, we, too, often suffer from our attachment to the illusion of self. However, as Buddhism teaches, our body, mind, emotions, and thoughts are all impermanent, constantly changing. By clinging to them, we lose true freedom. By observing our emotions and releasing our attachments, we can find liberation and peace. Thank you for watching today. May this video bring you a sense of calm and peace.